Hey y'all, Facebook. This is your boy Marc Hamm, and I'm hanging out here with a few ladies, and we're about to do a financial seminar as it pertains to retirement, as well as listing your home for sale. All of that involves money, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm Marc Hamm. I'm one of your hosts today. We also have Claudeth Forbin from New York, and she is with AF Services Group, and she'll talk all about what she's going to do in retirement. And we have the other half of Team Ham Group, shana.hamm, a realtor, and she's going to tell you all about, listing a home and selling your house and how that pertains to your finances. And me, I'll be talking about the rest of the stuff. All righty. First off, Claudeth, please introduce yourself and tell everybody who you are.
Hello out there in Facebook world. So my name is Claudeth Forbin, and I am a born and raised New York City girl. And my journey into this is when I've been a realtor in the state of New York, attorney. I worked in retail, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, that seems to be so different." I said, "But not really, because within it, there's a desire and need to help people bring value to their lives." Whether it was helping them find their forever home when I was doing real estate, whether it was to help them with their legal issues when I was as a lawyer, whether to be healthier eating, or now today where I'm in finance. And this is an area that I have such passion for, and we're going to get into a little bit, we're going to dive into that a little bit as we start talking. But as it says, I am the no drama retirement long-term care advocate. And that is my mission, is to help people have that no drama retirement and be their long-term care advocate.
All righty. And we have Dr. Shana.hamm in the house. Go ahead and tell them who you are and what you do with Team Ham Group and EXP Realty.
Hi, everyone. So my name is shana.hamm, and I am the realtor for Team Ham for EXP Realty. And what we do is that we not only help clients find homes, but we also help them sell their home. We're also in the business for helping those that have commercial properties get commercial space, whether it's for lease or buying a commercial property.
Don't give them too much. Tell them who you are, Shana. Tell them who you are. Don't tell them too much.
Okay, sorry about that, Mark. So I am shana.hamm with the other half of Team Ham with EXP Realty.
All right, and what do you do? What do you do? Who are you, Shana? They got to know who you are.
So I do a couple of things. So I am a realtor, real estate agent. I love doing that, but I'm also a scientist by trade. So I do a lot of research. And that's one of the main things that I do in the business of real estate is I am the research person. So we'll get into that later, but that's how I connect.
Where you from, Shana? They got to know where you're from.
I am originally born and raised Atlanta. So I'm from the ATL, south side of Georgia, and I've been here all of my life. So I know pretty much every area in the city of Atlanta, as well as in the suburbs of Atlanta. So if you need someone to tell you about those particular areas, you can contact me.
And I'm Marc Hamm, and I am from New Jersey, born and raised, grew up there. But most of my ties are in North Carolina. It's where most of my family is. And shout out to the Gardner family reunion coming up. I'll see y'all soon. Anyway, I used to work on Wall Street at Citibank, where I was a web designer and graphic designer. And I was blessed enough to pick it up and move it to Atlanta, where I run a company where I do the same thing. I'm a web designer by trade, but got into real estate once I met my wife. We found out on our first date that we both love real estate, and we decided to make it a business, not so much for the money, but more so because we love helping people. And we love real estate. We go look at houses for free. I mean, that's just what we do. I am college grad, glad that that's over with. And I'm taking a couple courses now for certification for real estate, and just love comedy, love chilling, taking it easy, traveling, and having a good time. All right, enough of the chit chat. We're ready to dive right on in and get to the meat and potatoes of what we came here for. So Claudeth is talking about real estate. She's talking about retirement today, and we'll be talking about real estate and selling your home. And so first off, Claudeth, I've got a question for you. All right, here we go. Can a person really have no drama retirement? I mean, is that realistic?
Absolutely. Let me tell you something. Retirement is not an age. Retirement is an income. And the most important thing that you have to do is to grow and protect that income. So when I sit down with people, I let people know you need to have 3 essential checks within that retirement portfolio. And that first one is your retirement paycheck. Now, the second is your retirement paycheck, and the third is your retirement health check. I'm going to dive into those a little bit. It's a little each separate. But when you are properly planned and your income and the income that you're getting in retirement not only covers all of your expenses, gives you a little bit of a buffer, and you still on top of that have a separate emergency fund, you've got a no drama retirement. Because if you look at it, it doesn't matter where you look on your feet. You always see, hello, I have $1.5 million in my 401k and my retirement account. Can I afford to retire? They're not asking you if they're old enough to retire. They're asking you, do they have enough income that they are not going to outlive? And you would say, you got $1.5 million. Of course you got enough money. Not necessarily. And actually, not really. There's a lot of challenges within that. And have they really looked into how to, compensate for those challenges? So you really can have a no trauma retirement if you properly plan for it.
Yeah, how many people are really planning for it? That's the real question. They should be.
They should be, but the thing is, this is not something that we get taught in school. We know that, right? And most people have, when I was growing up, I'm a little bit older than the two of you, everybody had a pension, right? And that pension, coupled with Social Security and coupled with their savings, was more than enough for them to retire and be good. It's like it met all their expenses. Well, pensions, only 19% of this country still receives pensions. It went from 80% to only 19%.
And is that because people are not staying on their job 20, 30, 40 years like they used to? I mean, people are kind of bouncing around now, 3 years and they're out.
Actually, not really. It's because the field that they're in. Nurses still get a pension, teachers still get a pension, military, some construction gets a really good pension. Police and firefighters, they get pensions. But I think it was about the late 80s, early 90s, there was a brilliant idea. Let's, create this thing called a 401k. Now, the idea wasn't to be a supplement to a pension. It replaced, for the most part, the pension. And so now people not understanding understanding the place that plays, they tend to underfund it. They'll put like $10 a month or $10 a paycheck. And then they're like 60 years old and they've got $30,000, maybe $50,000 in their 401k.
Not enough.
Not enough. It's not enough even for a year. And the only other thing they have is maybe their Social Security. And, you have to really think, this is the thing. If I'm buying a house, I'm very strategic. I'm thinking about where I want to live, the neighborhood, how far is it a commute? You ask a whole bunch of questions, and then you look for that property that checks the boxes. People don't spend that much time on their finances. They are not strategic in their planning. They don't even know how to be strategic.
And just to jump in real quick, we've got a few people on Facebook checking us out. Appreciate y'all tuning in and watching. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the Facebook chat and we will ask them live here on the set. All right, Claudeth, I know you got some questions for us. Feel free, jump on in.
I do. I live in the house that I was raised in, and most people say, how long you've lived here? And when I tell them, they're like, really? I was like, listen, I'm a born and raised New York City girl. You're a born and raised Atlanta girl. I'm a born and raised New York City girl. There's as any New York City girl will tell you, there's New York and then there's the rest of the world. There's really no need for me to leave. Okay. And we know that the rest of the world doesn't like it, but New Yorkers, we don't care. So, but when it comes to, I have lots of friends that are buying or want to buy and want to sell. And so being able to, now I did real estate a really long time ago, so I can't really answer their questions anymore. So Marc, tell me, how do you help people who, home buyers who want to sell their homes? How do you help them? How do y'all do that?
I'll jump in on this one, Shanna. First of all, we like to go and meet with them and go and take a look at their house. When we first get there, we get out and take pictures and we walk around the outside. We kind of get a feel for the neighborhood. We're right around the neighborhood. We want to get a feel for how they're living and how a person buying their house would see it. And so we don't even pay no attention to them. They looking out the window at us, seeing us in the car or walking through the yard. And I know they think we're crazy, but we want to see curb appeal. We want to see if they maintain their yard, just the overall flow of it. And then once we go in the house, we're looking at it as if we were buying it. We're looking at if it's neat, if there's clutter, if there's things that are too old in there. Is there a nice clean walkway? Is there granite countertops? Is the bathroom leaking? I mean, we look for everything, and then we sit down with them and just have an honest conversation and let them know, you need to clean this up, you need to straighten that up, you got a problem over here, problem over there, this is good, that's good. And long before we talk money, we want to give them an overall of how we see their home. And then we listen to them and find out what are their plans with the house. Like, for example, sometimes they are going to change the roof, or they plan to put in a swimming pool or whatever, or they plan to do some landscaping. We take all that into consideration before we say, this is what we believe your house is worth, and this is what you probably should sell it for. But we listen and we give input. Shanna?
Yeah, to piggyback what Marc was saying, one of the other things that we do is we also look at the area, the different stores, restaurants that are around, because that also plays a part in what a home is valued at. You're looking at, does it have a lot of the stores and restaurants that would attract other people to? Is it something that a community base where there's a park or there is some recreational activities going on? These are things that home buyers look for. No one wants to really go 30 minutes to a supermarket when they have one that could be right around the corner from them. So sometimes those factors play a part too. It also plays a factor in how much that home would be worth, the value of it, based off of the area that it's in. Is it close to an expressway? Some people want to live right off of the expressway. So when you're selling your home, you kind of want to think about those types of things too. Are you in a rural area? Are you in a place where there's a lot going on? And also it's based off of what that particular person is looking for in that home. So like Marc say, we do take the time to get to know the client, because we're going to be involved with them for a minute trying to sell their home, and really just making them understand all the factors that go into selling a home and why a home is valued at that particular price, and try to make sure that when they are wanting to list their home for a particular price, that they understand what the current market trend is in that, for that, what's going on now and what's in that area.
And we don't stop there. We send them vendors. We were just at somebody's house today and a couple of weeks ago. Hey, you need to cut the grass, and we don't stop there. Here, call our landscaping guy. He'll come out, cut the grass, trim the bushes, do all of that. One guy had squirrels up in his attic, so we had to send the exterminator guy over there to check that out. I mean, just having vendors on deck helps a lot. Because people are lazy. They'll be like, yeah, I'll take care of it. No, here's the number. Call them. Matter of fact, we called them and made an appointment for you. They're coming to your house Friday at 2 o'clock. Be there, and they'll handle that. So that's what we're about. We helping all the way around.
No, that's like really great, because as you said, a lot of people don't understand. But it's interesting because I've been at home, lived, like I said, lived in the same house for how many years, and during the pandemic, houses were flipping like overnight, and I'm talking from a Northeast perspective because I'm up here. People didn't do anything. They didn't paint. They didn't do curb appeal. They didn't do nothing, and the house is sold because most people, they're looking at the bones. Like how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, and they don't necessarily, maybe on the bathroom they want it to be done, but they basically like, no, this is a good bathroom I can use, because they plan on ripping it all out anyway.
Yeah.
And so they didn't care, about the aesthetics, the clutter. Well, you want the clutter because seriously, people, I'm like, get rid of your clutter. But I just wanted to see the bones. Like, what does this place look like? And could they see themselves like in there,
Mhm.
So it's so interesting because, being that, doing y'all in the South, because Georgia's the South. Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all in the South, versus the Northeast, it's having a pool is like, nah, that's a nuisance. I'm not having a pool in my backyard. That means I have to get extra insurance. So no, that kind of stuff. So that's really an interesting way of looking at it. But I think that's a really great service, being able to help them with vendors like right on the spot.
Yeah. I got a question, Claudette. What is a retirement check? What is that?
Okay. So that's the first check that you must have in your portfolio. So think about it this way. While today you are actively working, and that's your paycheck. Whether it's from your business or whether it's from your job, you know exactly how much money you're getting every month. And because of that, you structure your life. You pay your bills, you do your due, you go here, you go there. In retirement, you're no longer actively working. What is that regular source of income that's going to continue to give you the life that you've built? And that's your retirement paycheck. And a retirement paycheck has to be a guaranteed stream of income that is not dependent upon market performance or who's in office. And they're like, what are you talking about? There are vehicles out there that it is how to have that self-funded pension that you may or may not have. But when I sit down with people, people like, oh, I have Social Security, great. And I'll say, do you have a pension? Depending if, I know the field that they're in. And they'll say, yes. I don't just say, oh, then you're good. What we do, and we offer this to everybody, is a complimentary financial needs analysis. And here's what I do with this is that I ask very detailed questions. And I'm looking at it saying, you're telling me your goal is to retire in 7 years. Okay. And your income at this moment is this, say it's $6,000. And after you've paid all your bills, you have this amount of money, you got $1,000 left over. Now, part of those bills is you purchased a house maybe 10 years ago. That bill is going to go with you, and that's your most expensive bill, is going to go with you into retirement. So you need to still have at least $6,000 to keep paying your bills, right? Because they're going to go with you. So the Social Security you're receiving is the pension you're receiving, because those are guaranteed from your income that will go with you and last until the day you die. Is that sufficient to give you that $6,000? Then if it's not, we need to create a source of income that's going to make up the difference. So when I say with people, I really go into like, what do you have? What can we do to fix that gap? So that your life, you retire, but everything just keeps going. Because this is the thing I remind people of. When you're active life, if like you decide, oh, let's go on a cruise, or, something happened. You either work some extra hours, go get a second job, run DoorDash, what have you. You retire, in your beginning retirement, those are your go-go years. You're going here, you're going there, you're going shopping, you're going for lunch, you're going for this. But then you start moving into your slow-go years. And those are those years when you're like, what time is that? Ooh, the sun's down. No. We don't go out during like late. That sounds a little late. And you're also maybe not cooking for yourself. So you gotta go to the 4 or 5 o'clock dinner. But then you go into what's known as the no-go years. And those are the years where unless someone comes get you, you're not going.
You're not going. Hey, y'all, this is Marc Hamm and Claudeth Forbin and shana.hamm hanging out here doing a financial seminar. We appreciate you tuning in. We see you on Facebook. Feel free to drop a comment or a question and we will jump right in. Please finish your statement there, Claudeth. I just had to shout them out there,
No worries. So let me ask you a question, student audience out there, Facebook audience. You start out and you're in your go-go years and you're going here, you're going there. Maybe things get a little, light, you maybe overextend a little bit. So what you do, you go do good DoorDash, you do this, you do that. So now you've hit your slow-go years. What you gonna do? Now let's you hit your no-go years and you're running short. What happens then? So your retirement paycheck has to not only meet your expenses, it has to also grow to keep pace with inflation, corporate greed, shrinkflation, increase in taxes, and all the other stuff that happens in life. So regardless of what stage you're in, you are what? You're good.
Yeah, sounds good to me. We need a retirement check, y'all. What you got for us, Claudette?
So let me ask you a question, and I love what you're saying about the things that you do to help a person sell their house. But now, based on that, how do you calculate how much they should list the house for?
Shannon?
So basically what we do is we do what we call a comparables. It's almost like a broker's opinion. So what we pretty much compare the subject's property. So say a seller wants to sell their home, we compare their property to the properties in the area, the ones that sold maybe 6 months beforehand, 6 to 12 months beforehand, and also within that particular radius. So we're looking more at a 1 mile radius. Sometimes we have to go out a little further. And so we compare those homes to that property to see what they sold for. And based on what they sold for, it gives us it calculates how much that particular property that the seller has will actually go for. So we try to go within that range. We don't want to go to the actual max, but somewhere a little bit, close or a little bit in the middle. So that way, even if it gets appraised, and we're not appraisers, but they have an idea of what that home would appraise for based off of the current market.
And clients will always say, hey man, I want the max, I want this and that. And that's why I was telling you, when we go there, we check everything out to say, hey, if you want max dollar, you're gonna have to declutter, you're gonna have to fix the roof, you're gonna have to do minor repairs, you're gonna have to do some curb appeal, some landscaping, put some flowers out there, clean up the mailbox, cut the grass. Everybody wants top dollar, but don't want to put in top dollar work. And so we give it to them raw and real, besides the research. We're going to definitely do the research and find out what the house can sell for based on the market value. But we can't just tell them, yeah, it's worth $200,000. You can sell it for 200, and you got $20,000 worth of repairs to do. So there's always a range. It's never just one exact number. It's kind of a range. Kind of like when you're selling your car and you go to Kelley Blue Book and you put in 4-door red sedan, in the 90, 93, and a 4-cylinder with a radio, and you put all these, little things in, and it spits you out a number or a range. If you're good, best, or better, it goes up or down for that matter. But yep, that's basically how we do it. And it's been a great system that's been working for us. And knock on wood, we just put a new listing up today. We're excited. You know, as soon as we get off here, we got to go tend to that. But yeah, we're excited about the process.
No, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
and also another thing to add on what Mark was saying, because when we try to get them to fix their home up, that also plays a part in how long it stays on the market. So if you got a home that really looks nice, is spotless, everything is, looks as good as it can look, you may get someone to want to buy that home as opposed to a place that has a lot of clutter and they're having to visualize themselves living in there. Those are the homes that typically don't sell as quick. So that's one thing we like to also let our sellers know, that if you want to sell this quick, not saying that it's going to always happen, but you could help by making sure your home is in position to be looked at so that you do get some quick buyers.
I have a question. So, a friend of mine, they were selling their house, and like they had a wall that was red, and and they had another wall and the realtor said, you need to paint one color. And I'm like, and the color was nice, but I was like, oh, really? Because see, now my house, my part of the house, every room was a different color because my color scheme was rainbow. Like literally every room was a different color. And I won't paint it. But I guess if I'm gonna sell, and my bathroom is red, by the way. So go figure.
Yeah. Most of the time we'll just calculate that in their budget of fixing stuff up and go ahead and paint it one color. It sells so much faster. When people come in and they can imagine themselves in that place, in that space, and not be distracted or what's the word I'm looking for? Insulted by the color, not hollering at your colors, Claudeth. I'm saying, everybody has a different palette. And so if someone likes tans and browns and they come in and see greens and reds, they're gonna have an issue with the color and it's gonna turn them off right away. So we say right off the bat, you're gonna need to paint. And then we call Manuel and say, go give him a paint estimate. And we make it happen quick. All right, Claudia, you were talking about retirement check, which is a term I've never heard of before. But how is retirement check in your business different from what these other investment companies and financial people are doing? How's it different?
That is a great question. See, most people have what's known as an asset-based retirement, their 401k, their IRA, their retirement accounts. That's what most people know. We call that your retirement paycheck. That's the, and I need, I'm trying not to be too technical, but this is the thing. You say I have $1.5 million in my 401k. That's not real money. That's an estimate until it's actually sold because it's tied directly into the market. Say you decide to sell it, it may not be worth $1.5 million. Think back to 2008. Think back to you go to retire and the market just had a significant downturn. The value, that 1.5 is not a real value.
Right.
Until it's actually turned into actual cash. And on top of that, you're gonna pay taxes on it, especially a 401k because it's tax deferred. Most people you hear, this is tax deferred. Your money goes in tax free and grows tax free. They're like, yeah, I don't pay no taxes. No, what I said was, your money goes in tax deferred and grows tax deferred. But when you take it out, you got to pay taxes. Uncle Sam's always getting their taxes. And they never hear that. They hear, yeah, I don't pay taxes. And so think about this, Mark. Think about this, Shana. You've been putting money into your 401k, right? And you like, man, I don't have to pay any taxes. And now all of a sudden you go to take that money out and they're like, okay, there's going to be a 10 or 15%, here's 10% in the federal and here's 10% on the state. And you're like, what? I'm paying taxes? Yes. So what we advocate, that what you're doing is totally fine. But what we're seeking to do is to kind of shift the focus, making the retirement paycheck the meat and potatoes of your retirement, and the retirement paycheck, that asset-based retirement, make that the dessert, the coffee, that in the event of something, or, the children are now, like your favorite daughter, which is your only daughter, is getting married, and you want to pay for the wedding, or she just gifted you with twins and you want to do something. That then that money comes out of that asset-based retirement, that play check.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We say you continue to do that, but you need to have both the play check, that asset-based retirement, but what you want to focus on building and having is that paycheck.
Gotcha.
That's what you're living off of.
Right. Gotcha. Makes sense for me. I like the way you break it down. Can I get $3 to put in one or $3 another? No, I need more. I need a little bit more than that, right?
Yeah, a little bit more than that, but it's this, what we strive for is, I say to people all the time, Mark, Shana, you both have cell phones, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How long have you had a cell phone?
Too many years to count. 20 maybe.
Yeah. So do you have the same cell phone that you had when you first got a cell phone?
Nope.
You've upgraded, you've looked at it, you've paid attention to, is what's coming out beneficial to you? Unfortunately, most people have a do and just let it ride kind of attitude with their finances. They never relook at them. They never relook to see if it's still what they've done is actually still working.
Right.
And mostly they never look to see if what they have still makes sense. Listen, Shannon's gonna appreciate this. I got this dress. It was the most romantic dress that I'd ever seen. And I was holding on to it for that really special occasion. Well, that really special occasion never happened and I gained weight. I can't wear that dress. But you know what? I refuse to throw that dress away. It is still sitting in my closet. And I'm like, I'm going to lose weight. And I'm going to get in that dress. And when I get in that dress, I'm going to wear it to the grocery store because I'm going to. And unfortunately, it's the same thing kind of with your finance. You get it, but you either never look at it or you kind of realize you've outgrown it, but you don't do anything because you kind of think, I'm going to go back. And the biggest reason you don't do anything is because you don't really understand how all these pieces fit together. You didn't understand when you first did it, and you still don't understand. And so you don't know what is the best options that are going to truly help you and your family.
Right.
And and one of the things we do in my business, in my platform, is educating people on how money works. So they really understand why this works and this doesn't. Same thing with you. No, you cannot have a panorama deck door, because your door frame is only 36 inches and you'd have to take out a whole wall to do what you want to do. It doesn't make sense. But these are the options that will give you a little bit more of what you want. So you explain to somebody, and we do the same. Like, this is why these work together where you are right now. Mm-hmm. And so then when we sit down with you, you're able to make a better decision.
Yeah. Thanks for making it simple, Claudeth.
So let me ask you a question. So what are the kind of clients that you serve? Is it just, is it just like someone who's very established, or is it your first time buyers, military, like seemingly like, single person just got out of college? Who do you help?
We get a lot of first time home buyers. We get commercial clients who they have a store or a business idea and they need a commercial lease. We get people moving in from out of state into Georgia that are buying a second home or a investment property. And so we get a good range of investors, first-time home buyers, relocation, commercial lease, commercial sale. We get people selling their house as well. And we get renters. And a lot of realtors and agents do not do leases. We don't mind. We really don't mind doing leases. Someone will come to us and we get corporate leases as well as just round-the-way leases. I call them round-the-way leases. And we don't mind. We'll go and look for them the same way we would someone buying a home. And even though the commission is a lot less, that doesn't matter to us. And a lot of times, we just did one recently. The amount was like $4,000 for rent. It was renting a big old house, and that's what they wanted. And we were thinking to ourselves, you could buy a house, right, for that amount, but that's what they specifically wanted. So we found it for them, and they were so happy. And I'm glad we did it, because as soon as they got the home, they said, hey, I want to set up a meeting with you and Shanna. I want to talk to you about some investment stuff. And so they were already thinking of buying a house and doing some investments. They just needed this in the interim. And so we continue educating them and sitting down and talking with them. And I'll shut up and let Shanna tell her side.
So yeah, so what Mark was saying about the renters, it's actually pretty cool that we're still able to do them, because it helps these renters. A lot of them have never worked with agents, and they'll tell us that I've never worked with an agent. So they're actually getting a chance to see what it's like to work with an agent as they're renting a home. And then they call us back afterwards when they're ready to buy our home. So we never want to turn down renters, because even we deal with some that are seasoned. And what I mean by that, those that are older, that live on a fixed income. And right now, they just still haven't been able to buy a home, but they want to rent. And so they try to find out, how can I rent a home on this fixed income? I'm retired. I'm only getting Social Security, so I can't make any more money. So I have to go with this. Those are dear to our hearts, because, we know that a lot of older people out there, they need that. They need to have a home too. And renting may be the only way for them to be able to live in a home. And so our heart goes to them, and that's who we help. So like we say, we are one of few agents that actually work with renters, just because, like everyone, they need a home. They need to be able to experience and be educated like everybody else, knowing what their options are. And a lot of them, they take heed to that and say, I do want to be a homeowner. And I want to look you guys up when I get ready to buy a home. And so we get them in that rental home, and we tell them, if you have any questions, if you have any issues, reach out to us, because we're still going to be your agent. Whether you buy a home or not, we're still going to be there for you. And that's what we do, and that's what we love.
And although we're homeowners ourselves, I remember the day where I rented and moved every year, moved to another place, to another place, to another place. And I remember probably about the 10th one, I said to myself, man, if I ever can get out of renting and own my own house, I am with that. And all the issues I went through, doing laundry in the house that I'm renting in, and put my clothes in, go back upstairs, getting ready, cooking dinner or whatever, and go back down, and the door's locked. I can't get my clothes to the next day. And I'm like, there's some old renter BS here. If I own the house, I could come and do what I want to do. Yeah, the landlord had locked the thing up and had quiet hours. They wouldn't let you do laundry past a certain hour. But I didn't get upset. I let it motivate me into being a homeowner. And so that's the stories that we tell our clients when they're renting and they're complaining about this or complaining about it. Look, don't complain about the house that you're renting. It's temporary. When you get out of here, we can help you find a house that you can buy, and you can do whatever you want to do. You paint the house green, 10 shades of green if you want to. It'd be your house. And so understand what season you're in is what we're telling them. You're in your renter season, and it's for you to learn how to be a good homeowner by renting. And so they take heed to what we say, and they take care of the home that they're renting. They cut the grass, they do stuff around, they fix little things, so you never know when you're talking to someone how they're listening because of what they have in their head that they want to do in the future, like futuristic goals. And speaking of futuristic goals, I've heard of this term health check. Is health check healthcare? Is that how it goes? I heard that term somewhere, Claudette.
It's not.
Okay.
See, health insurance is exactly that, how you pay your doctor. But a health check is how do you cover or mitigate the cost of long-term care?
Paula, say that again. I don't think they heard you.
How do you cover the cost or mitigate the cost of long-term care? Listen, I call myself the long-term care advocate for a reason. I became my mom's primary caregiver in 2007. And like so many people, I thought there were all these services out there that would take care of her while I was still working. Not. I was under the impression, like so many other people, that Medicare pays for long-term care. It does not. Medicaid does, but that's a whole separate story. And I tell people with no bones, you cannot afford the cost of long-term care, period. The national average, Marc and Shana, for long-term care, if your condition puts you directly into a nursing home today, is $10,000 a month. So let me ask you a question. So you remember I said earlier, somebody has $1.5 million in their 401k and their retirement account? See, under conventional wisdom and the way you would break that down, that basically would give them $60,000 a year for 30 years. So they're 65 years old. It would last them to 95, as long as the stock market does not crash and taxes do not go up in 30 years. So we already know that's not going to happen. We know the stock market will crash and taxes are going to go up. And I will fight anybody on that last one who says, oh no, taxes are very high today. No, they're not. Taxes are going to go up. So imagine you're getting $60,000 a year and that pays all your bills and then some. And something happens and you wind up in a nursing home. And that nursing home is $10,000 a month. You only have enough for 6 months. What happens to the rest of the time? And then people say, but I don't have to go into a nursing home. I could stay home. The average cost for 40 hours a week, national, is between $48,000 and $60,000 a year. And that's today, not 10 years from now and not 20 years from now. That's today. So here you are, somebody who's getting $60,000 and your at-home cost is $48,000. So you're no longer living on $60,000 a year. You're living on $12,000 a year. That's poverty. So I say to you, so we talk about that health check is what have you put in place that if you need long-term care, you have something that's going to cover the full cost or mitigate the impact so it doesn't break you.
Mm-hmm. And
let me tell you, being like, I don't have to worry. I love when people say to me, I don't have to worry about that, Claudette. I have kids. Wonderful. Tell me something. Which kid is giving you a bath and which kid is changing your diapers? And P.S., which kid are you about to entrust with all of your decisions for you? Because you will need someone to speak for you. And I usually get, exactly. But what if you're like me? I'm not married and I don't have kids. Who is your automatic? It's going to be your friends, your family, your community, your church. You're going to ask people who are not necessarily tied to you by blood to do some of the most intimate things for you, to open your whole world to them. Are you comfortable to do that? See, what long-term care does is it preserves your physical, emotional, and financial dignity. And not just for you, but also for your family. As I said, I'm not married, I don't have kids. And one of my biggest monster under the bed is that something would happen to me and I would not be able to speak for myself. And I would wind up going into a place so abhorrent and I couldn't say anything because I'd have no other choice. That's hell. So when I sit down with people, I really emphasize, let's talk about their retirement paycheck, but we also must have that retirement health check, which covers this cost. And it's like, and that's when I go into deep dive, the statistics, when they're saying, oh, no, not me, not me. Okay, it may not be you now, but if it happens, are you going to be ready? Because this is reality. If you're not ready, then at that time, you and your family have to make some significant options. And one of them is you don't have something to call from. Mm-hmm. But if you already have something in place, all you got to do is trigger it and put that plan into action.
Yep. I got a question for you, Shanna.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
What is your favorite part of the real estate process?
The closing. I love the closing, getting people to that closing table and giving them the keys to their home. That is the most exciting part. I mean, I love showing them homes, but just getting them to that closing table and giving them the keys and saying you are a homeowner. That is the most exciting part to me for real estate.
And for me, it's when we're out looking at houses, and it could be the first one or the 30th one, doesn't matter. And the client finds the one that they are excited about. You can see it in their excitement, their heart, in their eyes, and they're like, I want this property. That's 1A for me. 1B is when the offer is submitted for that property and we get it. That moment when they say, we've accepted your offer, I'm like, yeah. And we give that excitement to the client and tell them, hey, they just accepted your offer. Now, right after that, we got to go to work and, negotiate and do some things. And then that's 1B. 1C for me is, that closing day when we pop in that champagne and I'm pouring it in everybody's glass and we tip glasses. And the last one we did is so funny, Claudeth. The closing attorney, she was drinking the champagne right along with us. And she was like, go and fill my glass up one more again, But the process, those are the 3 times that I'm lit up. I'm so excited. I don't even think I can sleep the night before closing, let alone how the buyer would feel. So those are the times. I got another question for you, and let's be conscious of time because we're coming to the end there. Claudeth, if you don't qualify for long-time insurance, what are your options? I mean, what if you don't qualify? Like, what option do you have? I mean, you kind of like between a rock and a hard place, right?
Not necessarily. There are other options out there. There are other vehicles out there where you can turn, say, an annuity that you put aside. There are annuities now that have a long-term care or a type of long-term care option. Or it might be that you can turn what says, okay, I'm taking this asset and I'm going to create it. And I will use this if I need long-term care. And if I don't, I can still use that towards my retirement and it just becomes extra, or I leave that to pass on to my heirs for generational wealth. So there's always more than one way to skin the cat, and it's working with someone who understands that there's a lot of dynamics involved, and working with you the best you can. Now, I will say this, there are some people who have waited too long and they have not taken care of themselves. They never thought strategically about their money, and they're sitting here like, what do I do now? And I can't help them. And that's the thing that I hate the most, is when I can't help them.
And Claudeth, I gotta ask this because everybody, when they hear someone's going to talk to them about finances and retirement, if you're young, you're not thinking about no retirement for one. That's some old guy thing. It's when you get a little closer and your body break down a little bit. You're like, yeah, one day I got to start thinking about retirement. But the question that I know people are asking is, how much money does it take to get started? If they came to you, do they need a lot of money? Do they need a big 401k? Do they need 50,000, 100,000? What's the amount that somebody can get started in changing their future around to organize it in this way?
The younger you are, the least expensive it is. So that's number one. If you're 20 and you decide I want to retire at 50, but from 50, you might have to pay for your retirement for 45 years, start at 20. If you're 40 and you realize that I want to retire in 20 years, it might cost you a little bit more. There is no like one answer, because it all depends on, you know, how much, it depends on so many factors. But this is the thing, it's not a last minute thing. It is, I got to do this now because I have a lot of things I want to prepare for. You prepare early, then you get to pick the day and the time when you want to retire. Again, retirement is not an age. Retirement is an income. And if you got the income, you can retire whenever you want. As long as you understand how much income do you need to live the life that you want for as long as you want.
All right. And I'm going to ask a question to all of us as we get ready to close out. And I want you to take your time and answer this question. And we'll ask Shanna first. We'll put you on the spot. What in your past did you do that you think led you to this day that you're doing, you know, getting to do what you do? What was that moment coming up? And you could have been a kid, you could have been a teenager, you could have been an adult, doesn't matter. What was that one day or one thing that said, man, I'm gonna be a realtor one day and I'm gonna sell people's houses and I'm gonna help them buy houses? What day was that?
I can look back and I think it was probably around the time where me and my mom used to go look at homes together, just look at nice homes. And then we would dream and say, this is what my home is going to look like. It's going to be my dream home. And as I got older and, you know, I met Mark and we started just helping the family, we noticed people were needing to buy homes. And I know going through the process of me being a first-time homeowner, I didn't really know a lot about anything. And I had to learn that. And we didn't really have anybody to teach us that. And so we had to learn along the way. And I told myself, you know, I never want someone else to go through what I went through and trying to find a home. I want them to be educated because I had to educate myself. So I want to be able to give back to that. And so we started with family and friends and just educating them on it and realized that a lot of people don't really know how to go out there and buy a home, how to sell a home. They don't know. And people don't teach them that. And so that was one of the things where I realized then this is how I can give back as a realtor, is to educate.
All right. How about you, Claudeth? What was that day? What was that turning point for you that said, hey, I'm going to be in financial services and help people?
Oh, that was when my mom had a stroke. And it's like years later, I was sitting on the side of my bed and I had that thought, who will be the me for me if something happens to me? And being a former attorney, I know the answer is like, you have to ask the question. And I remember talking to a good friend of mine and he introduced me to, you know, his good friend and who now is my mentor. And she started sharing all these principles that were geared towards the middle class, the average person, my neighbor, the persons I grew up with. And I sat there and said, I'm a very well-educated woman I'm a total squirrel brain. Like I learn about something and I deep dive into it, but yet I didn't know any of these things existed. And I am truly an advocate at heart. You know, if I can bring value to someone's life, I've done the job that God has brought me onto this earth to do. And at that moment is when I said, this is what I'm going to do. It's going to my 5th year. And this is it, you know, to help people in this area prepare for the things in life that happens and knowing that the solutions are there and they do not have to have Google goggles of money to do it. Yeah, that's when I decided that this is my place.
And for me, it was probably about 10 to 15 years ago. I was living in New Jersey and my parents lived in South Jersey. in Willingboro. And I was up in North Jersey, and I realized, at some point they're gonna have to slow down a little bit and get away from the rigmarole. And being in the south part of New Jersey, they were a lot better than they were up north, but I realized it's still another gear to go. And so I never said this to them, and they're going to be watching this right after we get off. I said to myself, man, what I want for my parents is for them to get out of New Jersey. I want them to be in a place where they can relax, not have to worry about high taxes and, the neighborhood and this and that. And I knew that place was North Carolina. And so I waited on them, but that was deep down in me, and I thought it a lot. And so one day they said, hey, we're thinking about moving back home where they grew up. They grew up in North Carolina. And they said, we're going to start going, periodically and looking for homes. And I said, well, let me know when you going, I'm going too. And so whenever they were planning to go home to North Carolina for a family reunion or get together or whatever, we went. Me and Shannon, we jump in the car and meet them there. And so it was a 6-hour drive from here to go to North Carolina. And every time they went over a span of like 5 years, we were there. And I remember this one time we went, there were 2 houses across the street from each other. And they were both ranch homes, but they had bonus rooms upstairs. And one had a small yard in the back, and one had a big yard in the back. One had a big kitchen, and one, a big kitchen with a table in it where you could eat in. And one had a smaller kitchen with a small island. And we went in both. It was me, Shanna, and my parents. We went in both. And I could tell my parents were like, we're liking these. And my father was dead set on, I'm not spending a penny over whatever. I'm not going over. So these were in range. And we went in the first house, and it had the bonus room upstairs, and we all went upstairs and looked at it. It had a bathroom. I was like, man, I hope they get this one, because when I come to stay, I could stay upstairs and use the bathroom. I ain't got to come back downstairs. So then we went across the street to the other house, and it had a bonus room upstairs, no bathroom. And I could tell by the amount of time we stayed in it, my parents liked it. And my father, he went out and walked in the yard, and we knew he wanted to drive his riding lawnmower in a big yard. That's his thing. And so I was like, yep, this the one. But I didn't say anything to them. I was like, yep, this the one. And sure enough, when we left out, they were talking to us, and I could tell the seriousness in my father's voice. He was like, Mark, we want to go ahead and put an offer in this. Now, we weren't agents or anything at the time. We were just family, and they had an agent. And so we looked the agent dead in the eyes, and we were like, this is the one, make it happen. I want my parents here. And that is the exact moment that I was like, I'm going to be an agent one day and help people just like this. Real people, real stories, real life. I want to help another guy get his yard that he can ride his lawnmower in. And that's when I fell in love with that side of the business. I've always loved looking at homes, but that was the time where I'm like, I want to be in the position to help change lives for the better. And that's through home ownership. And they live in that house right now for the last 10 years, and they love it. And then my father cuts his grass every once a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever, and that's his joy. My mom don't even go outside until he gets off the lawnmower. Then she's on the hedges. She got to trim up the grass, but she don't go outside the whole time he's driving the riding lawnmower, because that's his thing. That's his serenity, his peace. And that just made my day for the rest of my life, to see him ride that lawnmower in the house that they found while we were with them. And that's like the best thing I can tell you why I fell in love with this business. Well, that's our time, y'all. We got to get on out of here. But before we go, We're going back around the room, and I want you to reiterate your name of your company, who you are, and why you do this, and keep it concise because we're running out of time, but let them know who you are once again and how they can find you, and also put the names and stuff in the chat. Claudeth, start us off.
So again, my name is Claudeth Forbin, and I am your no drama retirement long-term care advocate. I love to be able to educate people on money work so that they can have the thing that they want, is that drama-free retirement, and be prepared for the biggest challenge, the biggest threat to that no drama retirement, which is long-term care. You can find out more about what I do at my webpage, www.afservicesgroup. That's A as in Frank, A as in Apple, F as in Frank, services with an S group. I keep doing that wrong, .com. And at the same time, if you love to talk to me, a complimentary, let's sit down, we can set up a complimentary consultation. And again, my name is Claudeth Forbin, no drama retirement with afservicesgroup.com.
All right, Shanna.
I am shana.hamm with Team Hamm Group, ESP Realty agent. We work with buyers, sellers, commercial clients, as well as renters. You can locate us at www.teamhammgroup.com.
All right. And of course, they want to know who you are, Shanna. They didn't care about Team Hamm and EXP. Who are you? That's what they want to know.
I am a Southern doll from ATL, Atlanta, Georgia, loving to work with clients and helping them find their next home, dream home, or whatever the next place they want to go.
All right, y'all. And I'm Marc Hamm, half of Team Hamm Group. I am the social media, do everything extraordinaire, anything that we need done for EXP that Shanna doesn't do. I'm there to do everything else, and I love handling the clients. I love talking with them and finding out what they really, really want in their home purchase or home sale. I just love all aspects of the business. I'm not too short of looking under the cabinets, crawling in the crawl space, whatever it takes. I feel like I feel like I'm buying a home when the client is buying a home. You know, I'm that into it. Anyway, I'm Marc Hamm. This has been a financial seminar with Claudeth Forbin and Team Hamm Group. We thank y'all for listening and watching and being inquisitive. We see you still on Facebook. You're still there. We appreciate you. But we say goodbye for now, and we'll see you later. This has been a Marc Hamm, Shanna Hamm, Claudeth Forbin, Team Hamm Group, EXP AFS Investment Group product. We'll see y'all soon. Y'all have a great day. Peace, love, and hair grease.
Bye, y'all.
That's right.
All righty. This was awesome. Thank you so much. Marc, we'll talk